And it is time for the Cheers panel. Please put your hands together. John Ratzenberger, George Wendt. Excellent. Yep. Welcome back. It's good to have you back. Just click it on. It's right there.
Thank you, folks.
Yep.
Look at that. Enjoy. Everybody knows our name.
They certainly do. Welcome back. It's been a while since you've been here, but it's always great to have you. Did you guys want to get to questions? Talk a bit on your own? Whatever you... Yeah, it's starting. What's that?
You wearing a hat?
No, I'm not wearing... Well, I should be wearing a hat. We talked about this last time. It's a tattoo.
Oh, okay.
You remember?
No.
Good.
So clearly, we're not going to talk on our own, clearly. Otherwise, it's going to get out of hand. So,
would you guys mind starting some questions now? Would that be cool?
Yeah.
All right. You know you guys got questions. Raise those hands up. We'll come around with a microphone, and we'll get them right down front. Here we go.
Yeah, hi. Great to see you guys. My favorite show. Originally, I heard there was just like 4 characters. It was Coach, Sam, Carla, and Diane. When you guys came aboard, did they really develop the Barfly characters more?
Yeah, that was it was just the 4 guys, I think, and I think they eventually figured out that they needed to have, you know, a few more faces, and yeah, so we came on board.
Nice.
Got a question over on the right side here.
Far right.
What's the funniest thing that happened on set that didn't appear on camera?
John has an idea about that.
Well, we put saran wrap on the girl's toilet.
Oh.
God, that was funny. We laughed and laughed and laughed. The girls didn't. Shelley and Rio didn't think it was so funny.
There were some classic water fights, and Woody in particular, he's a gamer. You probably gleaned that already. He could beat anybody at anything always. Arm wrestling, leg wrestling, chess, all these, basketball. And so water fights would break out, and I think Woody had liberated the fire hose on stage up by the dressing room. That was a little overkill.
Yeah.
You might have had the fire hose too, but you had the hefty bag full of water on top of the stairs, dropping it on people. So it got intense. But my shining hour was, John figured out we could, we're down there by the waitress station, and so we had these cocktail napkins and cocktail straws right there. So John figured out we could do spitballs, and we got very good at it. And my shining hour was Ted had his mouth open.
Oh.
And I hit him right on the uvula. It was it. I mean, I laughed for a half an hour.
This is while the cameras are rolling.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
crap.
And the audience was there.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's one episode, I forget what it was called, but Woody was down our end of the bar, and he was talking towards the audience, and the cameras are there, and he's having a discussion with somebody sitting at the bar. There's George, there's me, and during his monologue, the cameras are close on him. We were shooting spitballs into his hair.
Oh.
And to this day, and the editor didn't catch it, the director, George and I were the only ones who knew. But to this day, you'll see that scene on camera, and Woody's going like this, because we're landing spitballs in his head.
A quick question. Did the show's dynamic change much from Coach to Woody?
Oh, yeah, Coach was really funny. I mean, Woody was funny, too. But Nick Colasanto was he was in another orbit.
Yeah, and also, yeah.
Well, he just made me laugh a lot.
Well, yeah, he was great, but the show got a little more juvenile with Woody. Obviously, that's sort of obvious, I guess. Yeah, but Ted got way more competitive. Yeah, that was cool.
And the coach, Nick's car, he drove a big Cadillac. The horn was the theme to the Father.
He'd pull up to wherever we were. He'd pull up and go, "Hey, Ratsy."
Question right over in the far corner, right here.
Did you have any real alcohol involved on the show?
Yeah, our director, Jim Burrows, felt the cast would get a little sluggish if we used real beer. So it was 95% of it was non-alcoholic beer. And but towards the end of the evening, we would have the odd few things to pick up that got screwed up during the earlier portions of the evening. And at that point, the prop man was pouring real beers for us.
Yeah, our signal to was it Steve?
Yeah,
Adler. Yeah, and he'd be over, and then all of a sudden he'd take pour a couple of Heinekens in.
All right, what do we got here? Way over there.
Right back there.
And while you're headed back there, I just want to ask you, you have some background in improvisation. I know, George, you do, from Second City. Did any of that bleed into the show?
Mostly himself. The writing was so top notch and tight that they really didn't need our help at all. And Shelley and myself were both from Second City, but we didn't improvise at all. And John, who's had a career in improv as well, he did. He improvised more than anyone else, but that was minuscule, I would say.
Yeah, from time to time, the director would say, "Hey, Rats, fill in a minute." And I remember, still makes me laugh, where he told me to fill in like 30 seconds or something because the cameras are going to do it. Anyway, and so it was you, Paul Wilson, I think Alan Koss, but so I had a napkin set up with a pencil or a pen or whatever, and the camera came to me and I just said, "And that, my friends, is how the tractor seat was invented." And I love stuff like that because the audience would fill in all the stuff. What the hell was he talking about? But it was stuff like that.
We've got a question right down the middle here.
All right, hello, George and John. Great to have you with us today. So I have two questions for the both of you. So what was
that,
your
4 questions altogether?
That's 4.
Don't worry.
Just check it because we got to.
I know.
We charge you by the question.
Okay, so the one question for both of you is, what is your favorite and fondest memory of working on the show Cheers? And for John, how is it getting to voice so many iconic animated characters like Ham from Toy Story and all the characters for Pixar? What is that experience
It's all the
like?
same voice. Cliff, Hammy the pig. There's no difference. Hey, how you doing?
I actually get lots of compliments for Toy Story as well, and I have to explain. Now you're thinking of the other guy at the bar. Cheers. Jeez, so many. That's kind of like which breath did you take that was the best breath you ever took? Every moment on Cheers was just a joy, and it starts with the writing. Obviously, if it was crap writing, we'd all probably been miserable the whole time. But it was just nothing but fun.
Yeah, because don't forget. I mean, and you older people understand this. when the writers of Cheers, when they were children and growing up, they were about in our age group, 60s, 70s now, but so when they were growing up in the 40s and the 50s, they grew up reading books. And they understood character development, they understood story, they understood the arc of the story. And so when they got older, they were good writers. And now it's the writers that are working today, they grew up watching television. Completely different. So what you see today mostly on sitcoms is stuff that was on television in the 1960s. So that's, to me, that was the big difference. But they were so literate. David Lloyd, remember David? But just, the books and the quotes and, the classics and everything else. But in order to be a good writer, you have to be a good reader. But that's the difference. See, all older people are clapping now.
This little lady right here has a question for you.
How many pranks did you do on set and on camera?
Pranks?
Yes.
I did 54. George, I did something like 86.
Yeah, the oodles and oodles. There's dozens per day. Rhea Perlman, not Catholic. When she had her baby, I said, you're going to have the baby baptized, right? And she's like, oh, no way, absolutely not. I'm like, what? Danny's Catholic? No, we're not. I said, well, as a layperson, I can perform I'll baptize her if you like. No, stay away. Matter of fact, I could baptize you. And she goes, what do you mean? I said, I had a bottle of Perrier in my hand. And I started going, I baptized thee. And then she's running around the stage. No, get away from me, get away. So.
There were times we actually laughed so hard we'd fall off the stools. This is during the filming of the show. The audience is there, cameras are rolling, and for some reason, it just hits the funny bone, and bam, we're on the floor, with feet in the air, going ah!
And we were such brats, in rehearsal, we'd literally be, reading the sports page during a run-through, with network and studio executives there, and to say nothing of our writing staff. And, I'd be eating like a tuna fish sandwich and reading the sports page, and, hey, it's your cue. Oh, sorry. No, brats. Absolute brats. Couldn't get away with that anymore.
I probably couldn't get away with it now, but it was because of our director and the people in charge. They knew that we were money players, that on the night, when it counts, that we'd be there. That's, it was like the Blue Angels. Just, they're going to be going wing to wing, and everyone's going to go, wow. But during rehearsals, we didn't take it that seriously.
Because, everyone says, wow, it looked so fresh, it looked like you were improvising. Well, we weren't improvising, but it was probably the first time we took a clean run at any of those jokes.
What was the warm-up like before the show would start? Would they have like any kind of warm-up for the audience before the show would start?
Yeah, they have a comedian that they hired, and some were good, some weren't.
And we'd be backstage just, hey, have a great show, and then, it would be hugs and kisses, and Kirsty would always slip you the tongue.
Question on the far
we got
side?
A question over here on the far right wall.
What was your reaction on the final day of filming Cheers?
Your reaction on the final day of filming Cheers?
They had to drag me out of there.
Yeah, nobody wanted to leave.
Ted
was the only one. If it wasn't for Ted dancing, we'd still be doing the show. No, I don't know the reasons, but they say, hey, this is going to be the last show, and so you load up the trunk of your car.
How much notice were you given? Was it like, in 3 weeks?
No,
It's the
about a
last-
year.
About a year. Okay. So it's at least some prep time. Next question.
We got one. Oh, you got one over there, or I got
Yep.
one over here?
I got one right here.
Hey, John and George. So I have 2 questions, and I guess my first question is: was there anyone on the show that you couldn't prank because they're gonna hate you and they're gonna prank you so much worse? And then also, did you guys enjoy the show Frasier? Kind of a follow up to Cheers.
Did it mean watching Frasier? Yeah. I never saw an episode. But I haven't seen a lot of the Cheers episodes either. I did the time at 9 o'clock Thursday nights. I was putting my kids to bed. So consequently, I have not seen every episode of Cheers. I've maybe seen less than half of them. Because don't forget, I was there. And as Frasier, no, it's just it's a good actor, it's a funny show, but it was most of our writers, and I don't even know what to do with the question. Obviously, George.
Well, as for pranks, you didn't want to mess with Woody. Oh man, I know, but I mean, he would just take it nuclear. Yeah, I could. I wish I could tell you some of the stories. I just can't. But they're hilarious. Where he would go for revenge, but Frasier was excellent. Just crackerjack writing, as John said. A lot of the same fellas. And the cast was amazing, and rest in peace, John Mahoney. And Kels knocked it out of the park. It was great.
Did you guys have any favorite guest stars that came in?
I always enjoyed when Paul Wilson came in. He was a semi-regular.
Yeah,
Just an interesting guy.
We had fancy guest stars though. We had Mickey Rooney once, but he poor guy got fired, wouldn't it? What? No,
No, it wasn't Mickey Rooney. It was Red Buttons.
Red Buttons. Yeah, we were awful. I mean,
No, it wasn't us. It was Jeff Goldberg. What's his name? Greenberg?
Yeah.
Iceberg? I don't know. Some
But
bird.
no, it was the producers. The producers would just fire people, really cool people, like in the middle of the week. It was,
Oh, John Cleese we had.
oh, he was great. We
Yeah.
didn't fire him.
No, I didn't fire him. Spanky McFarlane
Yep.
from the Little Rascals.
Yeah.
Spank, yeah, he was a guest.
Yeah.
Tip O'Neill,
Tip O'Neill.
the Speaker of the House of the United States. Bill, who's the Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman?
Bill Crow.
Bill Crow.
Admiral Crow. Yeah.
He was a guest, and they had the little suitcase with the nuclear codes in them, and the guy is standing 10 feet away, just all night long, just in case the admiral needed to access the nuclear codes.
We got a question over here on the right side.
Yeah, there you go.
Each of you, which was your favorite episode personally? And whenever you talked about writing, he read War and Peace for me. Come on.
Yeah. My favorite episode, and it's really kind of stupid. It's kind of random, but I loved when the boys went skydiving, and we all chickened out. It was called Jumping Jerks. It was written by Levine and Isaacs, who wrote about 40 of our scripts. And one of my favorite jokes was, we chicken out to a man, and we're up in the plane, and we say, okay, I'm not jumping either. I'm not either. But we can't tell anybody at the bar. We got to tell them we jumped. So oh, God. Okay, we got to come up with a story, and we got to be able to stick to it. So I know, we got to keep it simple and believable so we can all stick to it. So we're right. Simple, believable. Simple, believable. Sam goes, I got it. We jumped, the parachutes opened, and then we landed. Right? It's simple, believable. Right. We jumped, the parachutes opened, we landed. Okay. We all go back to the bar. It's like, woo! Oh my God! I've never felt so alive. Like, I can't. What are you gonna do? It was amazing. I can't wait to do it again. And Carla smells a rat, of course. And so Carla goes up to Woody and she corners him. Woody, how was it? It was great. It was great. Woody, how was it? And he goes, What? We jumped, the parachutes open, and we landed. It was all very simple and believable. And one of my other favorite jokes was another Woody joke where the guys from Gary's Old Town Tavern were pranking us. And so Woody disappeared one day. And we're like, where's Woody? And then you see in the window, coming down the stairs, there's that window. And you see Woody bound by hanging from his feet by a rope with gaffer's tape all over his, arms and shoulders and, across his mouth. And he's like, wriggling. And we go, oh, my God, there he is. And we run up to him, and he's like, he's trying to tell us something. What's he trying to tell us? I don't know. He's got the tape on his mouth. I can't understand. What's he saying? Woody, what is it, buddy? Don't pull the tape off.
Grab a few more questions. We still got a bit of time left.
Yep, we actually have one right over here.
Since Frasier was brought up, was there ever any talk of spinning your characters off potentially, and would that have been something you would have been interested in doing, if so?
Somebody, a producer in Paramount Slot, approached us to do a film. Norman Cliff go to the moon, Norman Cliff at sea, Norman Cliff go to Morocco, but to do it like a Bob Hope, Bing Crosby. You older people remember the buddy films, but our producers wouldn't have it, so that was the end of that. Oh.
All right, question right here.
Hi, guys. I was wondering if either of y'all have gone to the Real Cheers bar in Boston before.
Yeah.
Yeah, we filmed there once.
Oh, yeah. Well, we use the exteriors of it, about once a year. We go out there for about a week.
Yeah, it wasn't the Real Cheers bar was in a soundstage in Paramount in Hollywood. The one in Boston was only used for the outside photograph. And the owner of that place, Tom Kirsch, a very smart businessman, hang a big flag out that said, inspiration for, and the words inspiration for were this big, big sign of cheers. And so everybody said, oh, this must be the bar. It was just used for the outside picture. But he parlayed it into a gold mine. Good for him.
Plus, the various waitresses and whatnot are like, yeah, Diane's pretty much based on me, and
Another question right up front over here to the right.
How do you guys feel about, as far as back in the day with the film before a live studio audience compared to today where nobody watches it? Is it easier or harder to perform in front of an audience, or?
I prefer it. I think most actors do, because you get like this feedback. What if what you're doing is working or not. Was that the question?
Mm-hmm. The single camera comedies, they have these brutal schedules, much like a feature film. 12-hour days, basically minimum 12-hour days, and there's just no energy, and you hardly ever see the rest of the cast. You're only in for your bit, and we were always there all the time, and it was a lot harder for the writers because they had to rewrite every night. But for the cast, it was a breeze, and the energy was, like John said, is a lot better with the audience, like you guys.
Got time for about 2 more questions.
All right, well, we got one right here.
When the show wrapped up, were you able to keep anything from the set?
You mean, did we steal anything? That's the real question, isn't it? I didn't take any. I carved my. Well, we both did. Carved our names in the bar top. But I didn't take anything. You?
Yeah, not a thing. And everyone said, "Oh, you should have taken your stool." And I'm like, there was no stool. There was like a couple dozen stools, and every night they'd mop them down and stick them up on top of the bar. It was a different. There was not a stool.
You just reminded me of another prank. You can buy to this day a remote control fart machine, and I duct taped that underneath one of the stools. And some girl sat it during the show, an extra. And no, I'm not supposed to say extra anymore. What? Background artist. Background artist. And so I'd hit the button every now and then. It sounded like she was farting. And she's a very dainty little thing. She was so insulted. And she said, she demanded to know who did it. And I kind of pointed at Woody. I said, he does this all the time. Oh, she laid into him, and he had no idea what she was talking about. But that was funny.
So there was an episode where John directed it, and it was we had squeaky shoes.
Shoes, yeah.
So what do we have? Little things in our hands?
Yeah, I had a prop guy cut the squeakers out of stuffed animals.
Right.
So that the actor can, because I wanted a lot of different octaves. They were going to do it in post-production, which meant it was going to be the same squeak. But I wanted different octaves of the squeak as you guys are.
Yeah, and so I think the bit was Cliff was selling shoes.
Mail order shoes.
As a scam for the bar. And so everybody bought them because they were cheap and stuff, and we'd walk around and the whole bar. It was cute.
Hey, we got a last question right over here.
Hi, thank you for coming. It's been a great privilege. My one question is, you've talked so fondly about all the people you worked with on the show. Do you still keep in close contact with them or see them from time to time to just get together and have a great time?
No, the only time I see George is at these events. And we live next door to each other. No, I was kidding. Well, actually, I talked to Kirsty recently.
Cool.
She's moved to Florida, and her son runs a charter fishing operation down there.
Wow.
So, Trey, is it?
True.
True.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to be going down there and availing myself of his expertise soon.
Yeah, I talked to everybody, eventually, but it's hard to get together because, people are all over the map. So to get together, more like in bits and bobs, one by one, but the big group thing is tough to orchestrate.
Well, we're glad we got both of you guys here today. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Well, we can go on unless you want to get us rid of us. This is comfortable yet,
Want to do a couple more?
I like the
questions?
blab, yeah.
You good?
Sure, yeah.
Let's grab a couple more questions. They're in a fine mood right there. Let's get
Got
two
one
or
right
three
here.
more.
Let me squeeze on in.
I wanted to ask
you.
about working with Alex Trebek in the Jeopardy episode, and what was he a fan of the show?
Yeah, Alex Trebek, he was a fan of the show. But what a gentleman he was. He was really the kind of guy.
Canadian, you know? Canadians. They're
Oh yeah, sorry. But yeah, he's the kind of guy you want your daughter to bring into the house. Say, you know, but just a real good guy, and smart. But he's Canadian, you know.
Okay. Another question right over here. We'll get you.
This is for George. Every episode, Norm would come in the bar, and Woody would be behind the bar, and he'd say, "Hey, Mr. Peterson, how you doing?" Did you have a favorite reply to that?
There were oodles of good ones. The more interesting thing was the Nick Colasanto, the late great Nick Colasanto, was he was a very sharp guy, but little loosey goosey with the setups to the jokes. So he would give me a generic setup. So let's say there's a specific punchline. I'll lay out the joke. Hey Normie, how's life treating you? Like a baby treats a diaper, is my thing. And so I'd walk in and afternoon everybody, Norm, Normie, can I get you a beer? Like a baby treats a diaper. Thanks, Nick. Thanks for that one. All right, cut. All right, Georgie, come in again. All right. Afternoon, everybody. Normie, how you doing today? Like a baby treats a diaper. It's just eventually he would get it, but he was loosey goosey with those.
Okay. Grab another question real quick. What do we got? Of course, way in the back. All right.
Of all the other roles that y'all have played, how many times has somebody say, "Hey Norm," instead of doing your character name?
That's not a question for John then.
But I can answer it.
Fairly often, so I couldn't really tell you the number, but you'd be surprised. It's a really easy mistake, for people to make, I don't begrudge it, it's like, okay.
And one question back here.
Hi, this is for George. George, you're from Chicago, right?
Correct. That is correct, my friend.
Yeah, from Chicago.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, is there a neighborhood in Chicago that reminds me of Cheers?
Wow. Not really. I think that Beacon Hill is a pretty fancy urban, straight up place. So any place in Chicago really would be, similar. I don't know. That's a bad answer. Sorry.
It's okay.
Just make it up, John. I'll leave it to John. What?
Yeah, he goes down to the old mill down in East Chicago that he always talks about.
See?
There you go.
The old bill.
See, it was a lie, but you go home happy.
No. Let's nail one more question. Here you go.
Hi, George. Do you remember your appearance on MASH and your scene with David Ogden Stiers?
Yes.
Your parents were on that?
That's what I thought too. John thought you said, do you remember my parents on MASH?
I didn't know his parents were on MASH.
Yeah. No, Private LaRoche. I just remembered my name from the show because somebody mentioned it to me yesterday. But it was really, really fun. I played a Marine who had a pool ball stuck in his mouth. It was a 3-ball, got stuck in my mouth in a bar fight. And David Ogden Stiers was having nothing to do with me. Just, roasted me mercilessly. Wanted to give me, like anal exams and stuff like that. Anyway, so, yeah. And it was a rubber ball, which is how it got in my mouth, painted to be, look exactly like a pool ball. the exact same size as a pool ball, but you could squeeze it down and it would pop back up once it was in your mouth. The miracle.
All right, let's wrap it up. Thanks, guys, for coming out. They're headed back to their table to sign. They got photo ops. Once again, cheers to you all. Give it up.
Hi, this is Michael Shanks, and you're watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. The fate of the universe may depend on it. And have fun and follow your fandom.